everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elise, and if you're new here, this is a little bit of a series I do on my channel called Track by Track Reading Recs. This is a series I do on my channel where I go through a full album and I go track by track, breaking down what the song is about, what it means, and giving you a book recommendation based on that meaning. I'm a pretty big music theater fan, and I of course love Wicked. I loved part 1 last year, and I'm really looking forward to seeing part 2 in just a few weeks. Here's my proof that I'm a lifelong fan. This is me in, I think, the 4th grade, going to see a touring production with my mom and literally being so obsessed because my 3rd grade teacher would play the soundtrack while we did our busy work in class. And I was hooked ever since. Wicked was kind of my entry into loving music theater, that and probably the Sound of Music movie. But today I'm going to be going through all of the songs from Act 1 or from Wicked Part 1 and giving you a reading recommendation based on the song. I have personally tried to read the source material and to read Wicked, and I was really let down. I might try again someday, but it was just a book that I had a really hard time getting into. At least when I read it, I felt like it lacked some of the whimsy of the show. But if you think I'm wrong and I should give it another chance, let me know. I don't think you're going to get a book more closely tied to the musical than Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Jumping right in with the opening track, No One Mourns the Wicked. I absolutely love this song. I find it so beautiful. I think it starts off the show in a really strong way because it gives you so much background, but also really sets the tone for the feelings to come, especially in the second half of the show. The crux of No One Mourns the Wicked, obviously we open with the death of the Wicked Witch of the West, and all of the Munchkins and all of the people in Oz are celebrating this, saying, we are going to celebrate her death. No one is going to mourn her. We're all so happy that evil is gone. And we, of course, as the audience, know that she wasn't really a true evil, at least in the context of Wicked. And so we have a little bit of an inside scoop that this celebration is maybe not as warranted as they think their celebration is. We see a mass populace celebrating the downfall or the death of a supposed wicked figure and not really knowing what that figure stood for and the good that they were actually doing kind of behind the scenes. So to go with No One Mourns the Wicked, I couldn't think of a better recommendation than the original Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. Without giving away too many spoilers, Brandon Sanderson has very publicly stated that his inspiration for this series is what if the villain was right, and that is kind of the catalyst for all of the events that happen across the trilogy. Mistborn has a quintessential evil villain character from the get-go in the Lord Ruler. He is dark and brooding and all-powerful and seemingly omniscient, and he is a really interesting villain that we also have a level of removal from. We don't ever follow him in the series. We follow the people on the opposing side to him, and so we are always seeing their perspective, and it's only as plot points unfurl that we learn a little bit more about how he came to be who he was, why he made certain decisions. There is ultimately a battle between good and evil, and the evil might be a little more misunderstood than we initially anticipate. Some of the lyrics that I thought paired really well between No One Mourns the Wicked and Mistborn. Isn't it nice to know that good will conquer evil, the truth we all believe by and by, outlive a lie. And obviously that holds a little bit different context in Wicked than it does in Mistborn, but it is true that in both, the kind of greater populace sees one thing to be true that may not necessarily be the case when you've got the inside knowledge. So if you're looking for a good villain that is maybe misunderstood, but simultaneously no one will mourn, I recommend Mistborn Trilogy. Up next, we have Dear Old Shiz, which is not a song from the musical that I commonly think of or listen to. It's kind of just the university song for Shiz when we get to the start of the show and Elphaba and Glinda are at school. There's Shiz is an academic setting. It's kind of campy. Obviously there is a dark underbelly as political plots unfold in Wicked, but on the surface, it's kind of this whimsical, fantastical place to be. So I was like, what is the combination of dark academia and camp? And the only answer to that question is Bunny by Mona Awad. Bunny follows our main character, Samantha, as she is in an MFA English program, and she's kind of making her way through school, making her way through life, and she gets brought into this group of girls called the Bunnies. I think that this is a fun book to go into, not really knowing what's about to hit you, but I will say that it does lean a little bit more towards horror, but I personally found it to be a little bit more of the outlandish or campy horror versus super gory, super scary, super unsettling horror. Dear Old Shiz is a really short song. It doesn't give you a lot to go off of, so just based on the vibe of dark academia meets camp, I think that the plot points and the atmosphere and the characters of Bunny fit that kind of perfectly. One of my shorter recommendations, I don't have too much to say on this one, but I do think Bunny is a really fun book to check out if you want something that's just a little bit outlandish and different. Following Dear Old Shiz, we get the first power solo of the show, The Wizard and I, which is, of course, when Elphaba gets discovered as being magic, and Madame Warble invites her on to train to one day meet the wizard and work with him. In The Wizard and I, Elphaba is reflecting on this and really feeling like someone that she has a deep respect for is going to see her and understand her and give her that same respect in return. So this is the first time in Elphaba's life where she really feels like who she is going to be good enough. And again, we as viewers, even if we don't know from the start, do come to find out later on that the wizard isn't everything that he claims to be. So we're watching this moment of jubilation and thinking, I'm finally going to be seen, I'm finally going to be respected, knowing that maybe her mentor isn't who she thinks he's going to be. I can't lie, I was really tempted to recommend the Locked Tomb series again, but I recommend that series in like every video, so I wanted to think of something new, and this is going to be a total genre flip. This one is a YA. I don't know if I would call it a thriller, but it's definitely a little bit more of a darker fiction, and that is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. This book I really ate up. I read it in a day. And it's a really sad book, but it is one that really keeps you hooked and shows you a lot of the reality of trying to make it in the music industry. Reality in the sense of what it takes to make it, and also some of the seedy underbelly that I think in more recent pop culture we have seen some of these darker things come to light. And Grown by Tiffany Jackson definitely touches on some of the abuse that goes on within the music industry. Grown follows our main character, Enchanted, who becomes connected with a very popular music star at the time named Corey Fields. He's a little bit of a heartthrob, he's got a great voice, he's very talented, and he meets her and he thinks that she's equally as talented and wants to bring her on to his team, onto his record label, and help her become a successful musician as well. Soon after this happens, however, we see how Enchanted is manipulated and taken advantage of, and it takes a really dark turn. However, at the start of the book, when Enchanted first gets this opportunity, that's the moment that really made me connect this to The Wizard and I. Some of the lyrics from The Wizard and I that I found really connected well with Grown is, did that really just happen? Have I actually understood? This weird quirk I've tried to suppress or hide is a talent that could help me meet the wizard. Obviously, I changed the rhyme scheme because I'm speaking it and not singing it. When Enchanted first gets this opportunity, she's like, oh my gosh, someone that I really respect sees value in me and wants to help make me successful and wants to help me improve. And she sees this as a really great opportunity. She's filled with a lot of excitement. And I feel like she has her wizard and I running through the field moment. And especially this line, he'll say to me, I see who you truly are, a girl on whom I can rely. And one of the things that makes the manipulation and kind of the grooming in the book so powerful is he really plays into Enchanted's needs and her insecurities to make her feel loved, make her feel wanted, make her feel valued. And that's ultimately how he gets his claws in her, so to say, and what makes it so hard to watch unfold. And it makes you really feel for Enchanted as a character because you know why she's responding to these things the way she is, but you have a layer of removal as the reader that makes you want to just like grab her and pull her out of it. So Grown is definitely a book to check trigger warnings for before you go in. It's not an easy read. It's not lighthearted. However, I do think that it is a great pairing for feeling really excited about the opportunity to work with a mentor that you greatly value, and hindsight showing that the mentor isn't who you thought he was when you first met him and first got this opportunity. Next, we have What Is This Feeling, which is our first duet between Elphaba and Glinda. This is a song about them just interacting for the first time and being unable to stand each other. And what's a more perfect pairing than a solid enemies to lovers book? One that I have read a little bit more recently that I think fits for like a silly enemies to lovers is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Quicksilver follows a mortal girl who ends up being taken to the Fey realm and working with a dark and brooding tattooed brunette named Kingfisher. Oh my gosh, they just hate each other so bad. The other one's so annoying, so blah blah blah. Oh, but they're so beautiful. I will say that they are enemies in the sense that they're from different worlds. They don't get along. They don't have an understanding for the other, and Kingfisher is just kind of rude at the start. So that's what makes them enemies. They're not a true enemy where they're like at war with each other. Wait a minute. I just thought of a way better recommendation than Quicksilver. And it's a book that I loved a lot more than Quicksilver. Um, Let me grab it off of my shelf. A true enemies to lover where they are battling each other across time and space is This Is How You Lose the Time War. 5-star read for me. Beautiful book, beautiful prose. This is such a better enemies to lovers recommendation. I can't believe I forgot about this book. So, What Is This Feeling really just follows. I've just met this person. We are opposite in every way, and I can't stand them. But the whole time you're listening to the song, watching it be performed, you're like, there's a little something between you though. Like you can't really hate each other that bad. And I think that that really captures the tone of This Is How You Lose the Time War. This follows Red and Blue, who are from opposing forces, opposite worlds, the agency versus the garden, and they are constantly at war trying to defeat the other. And over the course of the book, they fall in love, and it's a beautiful love story across space and time. And I think that that's a really beautiful pairing for What Is This Feeling, especially because we see Glinda and Elphaba be on opposite sides of things for so long in the show, but they do have this beautiful relationship underneath the whole time, whether that's romantic or friendship. Some of the quotes that I pulled for Quicksilver, but that I still think work for This Is How You Lose the Time War. My pulse is rushing, my head is reeling, my face is flushing. What is this feeling? Fervid as a flame. I hate you so much that I'm always going to talk about you behind your back, but you are the only thing I'm going to talk about. You're the only person I'm going to think about. But it's because I hate you so much. It's because I hate you so much and we're enemies. Another lyric that fits. Every little trait, however small, makes my very flesh begin to crawl. With simple other loathing, there's a strange exhilaration in such total detestation. So pure, so strong. Though I do admit it came on fast, still I do believe that it can last. I know I just read like a whole pre-chorus and chorus, but it just fits too well. Even though I bounced around a little bit, my official recommendation for What Is This Feeling is How to Lose the Time War. Up next, we have another kind of short and sweet song that I don't personally listen to a lot, and that is Something Bad. I appreciated in the movie that Something Bad gave us a lot more context for kind of the political plot lines unfolding in Wicked. I do feel like the stage production has to cut that a little bit just for the sake of time. Something Bad is when we first discover that animals are slowly losing their rights and their abilities across Oz. And Loki, my first thought of a recommendation was Animal Farm by George Orwell. That's a book that I have not read since the 8th grade. So again, I was like, I don't feel like I can really accurately recommend that one. So I just continued thinking of like, what's a general book about something bad is happening to the animals and we need to get to the bottom of it? And I thought of the Shady Hollow series. This is a cozy mystery series following forest creatures, and each book there's a new mystery in town, and our main character, Vera Vixen, goes on to solve it. But this was the most lighthearted book I could think of related to animals are going missing and being murdered and losing their abilities, because otherwise that gets really depressing. Okay, don't come for me with this next one, but our next song is Popular. I love Popular. It's such a fun song. It's got frills and fun, and it's pink, and it's just like, it's such a fun song. The gist of Popular is "Oh, you are just so drab and boring and uncool, and I'm going to make you popular so that you are successful." One of the things that I love about Popular, and if you've watched my channel before or just heard the way I talk about books, I am someone who really loves femininity and strong female characters in books, and especially when femininity is embraced as a strength. And Popular, I would argue, is a very feminine song, at least in the way that it's presented. It's very much like, let's do your hair, let's do your makeup, let's make you the prettiest girl at the ball. But it's also highlighting the strengths of like, you can use your femininity and the things that people will inherently seek out about you as a woman to your benefit as a strength, because when you are popular, you have influence, you have power. It doesn't feel like a watered down, I'm so silly, I'm just a girl type of feminine anthem. However, the strongest recommendations I thought of for this book are arguably very masculine stories. So, one that I thought of was The Will of the Many, which is, of course, about someone from kind of a lower tier system of the pyramid being transformed and working his way slowly up the pyramid by becoming popular and increasing different skills. Another trilogy that is about someone who's from the lowest class system who gets taken under the wing of someone much more successful and powerful to be told, I'm going to transform you into the prettiest girl at the ball and you are going to be popular and we're going to infiltrate the system from the inside, is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is my recommendation for Popular. It feels so opposite to Popular, but when you look at the breakdown of what they're both about, they're so similar. We follow Darrow, who is a red, which is the lowest class in this world on Mars. They are enslaved, they are beaten, they are just really the lower dregs of society, and the golds all the way at the top hold all the power, all the influence. And someone comes to Darrow one day and they're like, hey, I'm going to turn you into a gold and have you infiltrate the system from the inside. In other words, I'm going to change your hair, your clothes, your ability, the way you speak to people, and I'm going to make you popular. And you're going to use that popularity as power and influence to take down this hierarchical structure. Some of the lyrics that I pulled for Red Rising, this one's technically dialogue before the song when Glinda says, I'm going to make you my new project. Literally, that happens. Literally, Darrow is the new project. You'll hang with the right cohorts, you'll be good at sports, know the slang you've got to know. That line feels very reminiscent of Red Rising because there is a whole part of making sure that he's using gold slang and not red slang. Celebrated heads of states or especially great communicators, did they have brains or knowledge? Don't make me laugh, they were popular. Red Rising really is a book about how if you are viewed the right way, if you are popular enough, you hold all the cards. And Darrow, time and time again, sees that he needs to put himself in positions where people rally behind him, people support him, people want to be around him and be seen with him in order for him to do the things he wants to do to get ahead and take down the system. So I do think that Popular and Red Rising are kind of two sides of the same coin. And so if you like Popular, maybe you should check out Red Rising. Did I? You guys, I don't have Dancing Through Life on my list. Hi, this is Elise from the future, in a different outfit, in a different angle. Sans the cloak, sans the witch hat. Dancing Through Life is a song about letting go, about being carefree, and it's also a really interesting song to look at Fiero's character arc because we see him come in as someone who's like, literally nothing matters, life's about having fun, life's about doing what you want, and we see him be just very careless and doing whatever he wants. But as the story continues and Fiero starts to meet more people and especially meets Elphaba, his eyes really open up to the world around him and he sees that there is a lot of value in caring. And especially Fiero really starts to open his eyes to what's happening in the world around him and he becomes someone that wants to be a part of change for the better. And in a lot of ways, Fiero has a bit of innocence about him in the sense that he has just that charm and that freshness. And so I think the main character of this book that I'm going to to recommend does have a really beautiful innocence to him as well, and follows maybe a similar character arc to Fiyero of not really questioning things around him, and once he does, starting to open his eyes to things and become a part of change. So the book that I'm going to be recommending is Pure Nessie by Susanna Clarke. This is a book that I loved. It is so creative, it's so innovative, and it's a wonderful, wonderful ride. Pure Nessie follows our main character, Pure Nessie, who lives in the house, which is essentially just this endless labyrinth of corridors with marble statues everywhere, and Pure Nessie lives his life entering his journal, which we are reading his journal entries, detailing all of the findings of the house, everything he's discovering. And at the beginning of Pure Nessie, we see him just very carefree, very excited about things around him, just open to exploring life, open to exploring the possibilities of the house. Pure Nessie does start to open his eyes to the fact that what he believed to be true may not be the truth. Here, Nessie is quite literally dancing through life in the house. He's exploring the halls, he's living in the whimsy of it. And I think that this is a great book to reflect the start of Fiyero's journey. Some of the lyrics that I think are very fitting, we have "Stop studying strife and learn to live the unexamined life." Here, Nessie is very interested in the unexamined. He wants to solve all the mysteries of the house. We have "Woes are fleeting, blows are glancing when you're dancing through life." Pure Nessie is someone who lives a very carefree and problem-free life when he is living kind of in the darkness, living in the shadows, and not knowing the bigger picture of what's going on. And then, of course, the final line of the song, we have "Here's the strange thing, your life could end up changing while you're dancing through life." And I think that that is something that perfectly captures the essence of Pure Nessie. Okay, so it goes something bad, then dancing through life, then popular. Then, as we see a little bit more of the relationships develop as Elphaba begins to have friends, Glinda and Fiyero start to develop a little bit of a relationship, and Elphaba and Fiyero begin interacting for the first time. "I'm Not That Girl" is basically Elphaba singing to the audience, saying she's realizing that she might have feelings for Fiyero, and she sees who he is, and she sees him liking Glinda, and she's like, "I am never going to be someone different from who I am, and I'm perceiving as you liking a certain type of person, and that's never going to be me." So my recommendation for "I'm Not That Girl" is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Rebecca, we follow an unnamed main character as she meets a much older man who is a widow. They have a whirlwind summer romance, end up getting married. She moves back to his manor, Manderley. Once she is there, she has to fill the shoes of the previous Mrs. De Winter, who is Rebecca, and Rebecca kind of haunts every corner of this house. And our main character really starts to feel like she, one, is haunted by Rebecca, but truly cannot fill her shoes. And she starts to doubt her husband's feelings for her, and also kind of assumes that she has to be Rebecca in order to earn his love. She has to be like this woman that she puts on such a pedestal, and she's not. Our main character is very youthful and innocent and naive at times, and so our main character experiences a lot of self-doubt, feeling like she will never be the person she needs to be in order to get the love that she wants. So especially at the beginning of Rebecca, this lyric goes along with it well. "Hands touch, eyes meet, set in silence, set in heat, heart sleep in a giddy whirl." And I think that really captures kind of the innocent love that this main character feels when she first meets Maxim de Winter. Don't dream too far, don't lose sight of who you are. She puts really big pressures on herself to become this person she is not. "I wasn't born for the rose and pearl. There's a girl I know, he loves her so. I'm not that girl." Our main character does not come from a wealthy background. She does not come from a background of being the head lady of a manor, and so she really feels like a fish out of water. She's like, "I was not born for this. I was not trained for this. What am I doing? He wants someone different than me." So for "I'm Not That Girl," my official recommendation is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Next, we discover that Elphaba has been summoned by the wizard, and she is off to Oz to meet him and invites Glinda along with her. They begin to sing the song "One Short Day," all about going to the Emerald City for a day and just being amazed by the wonders. Something that we do get a little bit more context of in the book, at least what I read of it, and more in the movie than the stage production for sure, is that the land around the Emerald City and pockets of Oz is really desolate. However, when they go to the Emerald City in stage production and in the movie, we are met with sights and sounds and glitter and lights and music, and the set is all of a sudden very grand, a lot of moving parts, and it really is a spectacle. It's very fantastical, and they're singing about all of these different things in the city, all of the things they want to do, all the people they could be. Meanwhile, and something we see kind of on the train ride in to the Emerald City in the movie version, is the rest of Oz is not like the Emerald City. It's a very privileged place. And my recommendation to go with that is a book that I read quite recently, and that is Blood Over Brighthaven. Blood Over Brighthaven follows the first female mage in this world, and the city that this story takes place in is in a little bit of a bubble. The world outside of the city is being ravaged by something called the Blight, and the city is safe and warm and trapped inside with lots of bells and whistles and technology and magic that is really not present in the world outside of it. We follow our main character, Siona, become the first female mage and feel like a lot of doors are opening up for her. Her life is finally about to start. She's where she needs to be. This is the moment she's trained for. And then, again, as the reader or as the viewer of Wicked, we know that a lot of this character's goal is kind of smoke and mirrors, is not what they thought it was. So, for a book about finally getting to where your dreams are, just to find out that they are not what you thought they were, I recommend Blood Over Brighthaven. Next we have, I'm gonna share an opinion, one of the more boring songs of the show. We have Sentimental Man. I did like how it was done in the movie with kind of the miniature set, and it is a short and sweet song, so it doesn't really take away from anything. It's just, it's not one of the big Wicked songs. So Sentimental Man is about the wizard just being like, I'm just so sentimental, and I always wanted to be a father, and all of you beautiful citizens are like my children. And so I was like, what is a book about a manipulative old man? And I'm gonna go with a manipulative older woman instead, but it ties in kind of the like, I'm a parent, and this is where we talk things out. So this is a short horror novella about a mother and daughter that have a really strained relationship because the mother is kind of a crazy narcissist. She's really pushing her daughter, please, like, come visit me at this cabin for the weekend. Please just come for the weekend. Please, I miss you. And finally wears her down. The daughter agrees to come. The daughter shows up, and the cabin is a perfect recreation of their childhood home, and she can tell that the mom is trying to recreate kind of the environment that they grew up in as a way to reel the daughter back in and pull on her emotions and manipulate her. I think a good pairing for a manipulative parental figure who tries to be like, look how good and perfect I am, I'm doing everything I do for you, and it's all a lie, this is where we talk things out. For the finale of Act 1, the finale of the movie, one of the most beloved songs of Wicked, we have Defying Gravity. This is the song where Elphaba fully realizes what's behind the smoke and mirrors, what's really going on in Oz, and she won't stand for it. She doesn't want to live a lie or go against her morals just for the sake of being powerful and being loved. Something I love about Elphaba's character. She would rather be who she is, and she would rather stick to her own values than be liked or be loved. And I think that that's really honorable, and I think it's really interesting seeing it mirrored by Glinda, who doesn't have the security in herself to do the same. So my recommendation is all 3 books of an uncompleted series, and that is the Legendborn series, Legendborn, Bloodmark, and Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. This is one of my favorite series of all time. I love it so much. It's a 5-star series. I think that Bree is a main character that really exemplifies the heart and the spirit of Defying Gravity. To give you a bit of a synopsis, Bree is a 17-year-old girl who has just lost her mother, and she's entering kind of an early college program at University of North Carolina for high schoolers to get college credit and live on campus for the year. While she's there, she starts seeing some magical things that no one else seems to see and that she really shouldn't. And she also stumbles upon a secret society. I don't want to give too much more detail than that because I think this is a wonderful series to just watch unfold and not know what's going to happen. But I will say, to add context to the recommendation, the secret society that she stumbles upon is a 99% white secret society. It's a lot of old money, Southern, my granddaddy's granddaddy was in this club when he went here type of vibe. And Bree is a young black girl with no prior connections to this society. So she's not really accepted. She's not really seen as one of them. And on top of just having to figure out this new way of life without her mom, with the discovery that magic exists, she's also having to constantly battle white supremacy and prejudices in order to accomplish her goal and try to get to the bottom of what happened to her mom. Along the way, she does take on some roles that she's very fitted for, that are rightfully hers, and that's not really respected by these people because she's not who they want her to be. So Defying Gravity and a part of Bree's story is really about standing up and saying, I am who I am. I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to sacrifice my values or my morals or me. Hello. And being okay with standing alone in the face of opposition. Bree does have great friends and she does have people she can trust, where Elphaba is a little bit more solitary. Bree does have a lot of opposition and she does have a lot of people against her, so she is still taking a really big risk by standing up the way that she does. Some longer lyrics that I do just think are really fitting. Something has changed within me, something's not the same, I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. If you've read the story, you might know a little bit more context with that. If you have not, so that I don't spoil anything, she does just really come to realize a lot of things about herself, and she's not willing to just kind of roll over and listen for the sake of peace. She would rather be right and follow her own compass. I'm through accepting limits because someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. I think that's really fitting, especially if you've read more of the trilogy. What I think is honestly a perfect pairing for Defying Gravity is the Legendborn series by Tracy Deonn. Thank you all so much for watching today. I definitely want to do a part 2 when part 2 comes out, so enjoy my recommendations for part 1. If you're still here, like, comment, subscribe, leave a green and pink heart emoji for my girlies, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.